What's up, everybody? Juan Morales here, and in today's episode, we're going to cover a very powerful distinction that makes a huge difference in terms of achieving what you want and getting it faster than you've ever done it before. Now, has it happened to you that when you're following any pursuit or you're trying to achieve any goal, you end up on a continuous path of getting things and preparing for the path? New weapons, new things that you need, new trainings that you need, new coaches that you need, new things that you need in order to get there. If you've gone through this, and I know I have, and I know many people who have as well, what I want you to think about and consider is this concept of being the Buddha instead of seeking the Buddha. And why do we see this? Constantly, when we're striving to achieve a goal, what we realize is that we don't feel as though we're sufficient. So we're always looking for that outside thing that's going to give us that advantage. And that's great from a marketing perspective if you're someone who sells this kind of stuff, and I am someone who sells this kind of stuff. So obviously I know where there's value in there, and I'm not saying that you completely disregard the idea of having any outside help, but what I am saying is that you have to put the weight of this on yourself. You have to be the Buddha instead of seeking the Buddha. I had this happen many times with different clients when they talk to me, and even as I'm talking to them on the first phone call that we have or the first connection that we make, they're looking for a savior. They're looking for someone that can come in and just, poof, all of a sudden save them from the troubles that they're in right now. But the problem with that is we put all the weight of that on the other person. So the other person's going to save me. The other person's going to do this. This tool is the one that's going to save me. This tool is the one that's going to do this. But see, here's the thing. The tool is not going to use itself. Whatever that person tells you or gives you advice on is not going to take action on it by itself. They're just ideas and strategies, and they may be the greatest strategies on the planet, but they mean nothing if at the end of the day you don't execute on them. And this is what happens to many people. This is what the savior mentality is around. Because instead of being the Buddha yourself and understanding that it is up to your resourcefulness, it is up to what you do, it is up to what you put on the line, it is up to what you're trying to accomplish, that you're going to get the results. No, what we tend to do is we put it on someone else. And there's a very clear example of this, which is the idea of every time a new president comes around. Now, regardless of how your politics look or anything like that, by the end of every presidency, at least in my lifetime, everybody has been very disappointed in what happened in the government before. So, naturally, that leads to everybody putting the hopes on the new president that's going to come in. So, when that new president comes in, of course, they make all these promises. They make all these promises during the election cycle because guess what? We're all tired of what happened, and we all want that change. We all want that new version, that better version, that new Buddha, which is that new candidate that comes along and tells us all these sweet nothings and whispers in our ear and tells us that everything's going to be okay and they're going to basically fix the country in a day. And we want to believe it. Why? Because we want that Buddha. We're looking for the Buddha. But what happens? They come in, they take office, and then a couple of days pass and you notice that nothing really changed. And then more days pass and you notice that nothing's really changing anyway. And what you realize is that ultimately it's not up to the president, it's not up to the outside Buddha, it's not up to any of those things. The only one, the absolutely only person in charge of your happiness and that can do something about it is you. There is no outside person. They can give you strategies, they can give you ideas, they can give you things that help you move faster, but guess what? You're the one that has to do the walking. You're the one that has to do the moving. And if you're not willing to do that, what happens is you're caught up in this loop of all the time looking for saviors and then feeling disappointed because you thought that it was the savior that was going to be doing the work. But in reality, you have to take that into yourself. You have to start working on that for yourself. And nothing really happens until you decide to take action on things. That's the key critical distinction to make here. Because when you are your own Buddha, that means that you're relying on yourself. You're relying on your instincts. You're relying on your skills. You're relying on your grit. You're relying on your tenacity and determination to move forward. It doesn't matter whether you get strategies from other people. It doesn't matter whether you get weapons from other people. There are endless amounts of blog posts and things that can show you what to do. But when you look at most of the people out there, what you see is people just waiting for someone to basically show up and give them everything kind of chewed up for them. They want the solution in a box where they don't have to do any efforting. But this is precisely the problem. Because when we don't realize that, yes, it is going to be hard, and yes, it does require work, and yes, it's going to show me parts of myself that I haven't wanted to see yet, but that's how we grow. That's how we create better things. That's how we evolve into a better version of ourselves. But it starts with being responsible. It starts with being our own Buddha. Not looking for the outside stuff to see, oh, this new tip or new trick or new strategy. Because the world is filled with all these strategies that have been explained to people, but they haven't done anything with them. So always, always, always remember, you want to be the Buddha, you don't want to seek the Buddha. And that's a major distinction. Because the more you're able to look at that in yourself and understand that, yes, other people can advise. Yes, other people can give you pointers. But they're not going to do the actions for you. Unless you take that responsibility of actually taking steps in the direction of achieving your goals, nothing's really going to change. This is why most diet programs fail. This is why most books that you get on dieting fail. Or exercise programs. Because people don't do anything with them. What has happened is that we get that dopamine hit from making an investment. We get that dopamine hit because we bought it. We showed that we have commitment because we put money behind it. But then that gives us enough of a win that we start discarding it because we don't follow through and we don't do it. And what happens when we don't get it? We blame the Buddha. We blame that other thing, saying, oh, that doesn't work. And if you've ever been to the gym and gotten a subscription to the gym and paid for it, I mean, part of their whole strategy is to make you pay for a bunch of months in advance because they know human nature. And they know that you're not going to stick to it. And the other thing that happens is that by the time that enough time has passed, let's say you bought 6 months in advance, and this is the classical January hitting the gym, this is the year for me, right? So I go to the gym and I'm finding these 6-month plans that are way discounted from the 1-month plan. So I get the 6-month plan. So then I put that into action and I start going to the gym the first couple of days, and then after that I'll go sporadically, and then eventually I stop going altogether. But then because I bought so much time, by the time I'm on the 3rd month or 4th month, I'm thinking, you know what, that's water under the bridge. I already paid for that, so I don't have to deal with that now. But the problem is that because we're always putting that attention on that outside Buddha, when we're always putting the responsibility of the success on the outside things, we never develop that inner responsibility, that inner strength of it's, hey, no, if it's to be, it's up to me. It's not up to anybody else. They're going to do what they're going to do. They have to become their own Buddhas for their own things. You have to become yours. And the more time you spend really thinking that some outside thing is what's going to help you, whether it's the government, whether it's your parents, whether it's friends, whether it's a boss, whatever the thing is, I want you to understand that as long as you keep putting your attention on an outside Buddha, thinking that that's the thing that's going to work for you, you're going to be a puppet to that. And you never develop that strength for your own. What did you notice when COVID-19 showed up and spread everywhere and a lot of people lost their jobs? You saw a lot of people basically go desperate. They don't know what to do because all they do is go for that job. That job is what makes them the money. They never really took that into themselves. They started seeking a Buddha, seeking a job, because the job is what's going to bring me the happiness. The job is what's going to bring me all this other stuff. And the job is going to bring me security. Well, guess what? How secure do you feel when that company that you're working for goes under? And now you got laid off. And now what you realize is you put all of your faith, you put all of your thoughts, and all of your success in the hands of someone else, instead of keeping it in your own hands and deciding that you're never going to be subjected to the whims of someone else. This is what this distinction is about. You want to be Buddha. You don't want to seek the Buddha. The more of the Buddha you are yourself, the more you rely on yourself, the more you become resourceful, and you apply that resourcefulness to achieve results, the better everything's going to be in your realm. Everything. Because no matter what happens, you know that you rely on yourself. Yes, you can collaborate. I'm not saying that you don't collaborate. But it's not the collaboration that's going to make it work. The collaboration only makes it better. When you've put that faith in yourself and you realize that, hey, if it's to be, it's up to me. It's not up to anybody else. And if you're collaborating with someone else, that's great. You can make even better stuff. But never come at it from the idea that it is through the collaboration that something works. It would have worked for you by yourself anyway. The collaboration just made it happen faster, easier, and better. But you could have made it anyway. And that distinction, just holding that in your mind for a minute, makes a huge impact. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at where in your life are you putting the responsibility of the success of whatever that area of your life is. Are you putting that responsibility in someone else's hands? Whether it's your financial stability, whether it's your security, whether it's finding a mate, whether it's having a relationship. How often does it not happen in a relationship that what we do is we blame the other person because they're the reason why things are not working? And that's a classic example of projection. But what happens is, instead of being that Buddha ourselves, what we start looking for is some outside thing that's going to make us feel better. So that's when people turn to drinking, that's when people turn to cheating, that's when people turn to all kinds of vices that distract you from the problems that are happening. Instead of understanding that you are the one that has everything in their power to change the situation. And once you realize that in yourself, once you apply that for yourself, you're going to see a massive difference in your life. So make that inventory, and once you look at it, really think of how could you change things in a way that makes you more responsible for your own things and gives you more of that power, which unfortunately you gave away without even knowing that you did. But now that you've heard this, I hope that it inspires you and it helps you get more of that power back so you can become the best person you can be. Remember, be the Buddha, don't seek the Buddha. This is Juan Morales signing out. I'll see you on the next one.